three of the four poets are here.
Okay.
The featured poets.
Okay. I just started recording.
This is a good crowd.
Yes.
That's cool.
Very
Excellent.
cool.
And it's a convergence of...
And it's convergence of all kinds of communities.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome.
Good evening.
Welcome.
Thanks for coming. My name is Carol Henry Alexander, and I'm part of an organization called Echo Hermanas, and we are a collective of women who work with Mother Nature, Earth, environment, sustainable life, and we put together this space. I had the idea of doing it in support of several of my sisters who have been expressing interest in getting their art more out in their lives. And so I thought, let's do a collaborative piece for Artomatic. And that's what we've done. We've put together work that represents the work that we do in the community. And I'm actually going to ask Angela Adrar to come and tell us a little bit more about Echo Hermanas, but before I do that, I would like to just let you know what's going on with the show, because we work in the community, all of us, doing work around nature and art and environment, and each one in their own way. It's individual work that we come together to support each other in our work. So we've been together for several years. We've done a lot of great work out in the DMV. So we have here this Centro Ashe piece, which is, it's a totem pole, and it was created by over 100 people at the Chesapeake Herb Gathering this September. And the idea is to show the energy of the plant and all its facets, the roots, the flower, the stem, the leaves, all of it. And this piece is by Penny Gamble Williams, who's one of our featured poets tonight. And maybe she'll say a few words about it when it's her time. And that's Penny right there. And then this altar is created by Rabia Alnar. And she is an altar maker and an herbalist and a woman of wisdom. And her piece is about all facets, earth, air, fire, and water. And then I just did this dancing girl. She lives normally in my garden. And I was told maybe someone might complain. She's a beautiful goddess in my garden. And so that's basically, we wanted to have the poetry world. My husband, Jesse Alexander, is a poet. And I know Hiram and so many beautiful poets in our community, because I work in the community with arts and nature. And so I see several of the artists that I work with, poets and visual artists, are here tonight. I'm so grateful for that. Here at Artomatic, we're going to have tours. Do you see how outrageous? 500 artists here. And so it's really amazing. So Echo Hermanas is leading tours on Sundays at 2, 4, and 6. And they're tours that have selected artists and artwork that deal with the issues and concerns that we as a group have to do, are interested in. So we have conscious convergence in spiritual art, environmental art, social justice art, women's art. And so we just meet in the 3rd floor elevator shaft, and everybody's welcome. Spread the word. Elevator, well, what is it called?
Elevator
Lobby, okay. On Sundays, every Sunday until Artomatic is over. So let me have Angela just say a couple of words, and then we'll start with our poetry.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We're so honored to have Carol as part of the Hermanas and also our other sisters that are here in person, Serenela, Penny, Ada, Rabia, and more to come. For us, I think the most significant thing about art is how powerful it is in shifting the narrative for women and also reawakening that sense of connection with Mother Earth. And we try to do that in this exhibit, but we also do it in all the work that we do. So some of the main programs that we do have are around agroecology, healing, and health. So wellness, it's a concept of buen vivir, living well for yourself, living well in harmony with Mother Earth. We also have a program on shifting the narrative, of which art is a very big part of that. We also had a film, Ada directed and produced a film called Near the River, which featured women around the Anacostia River and their communities and how the shift in gentrification affected these women. And it's a bit of a historical piece featuring women from the Piscataway Nation, and then also newer women, very younger women, if you will, from the Earth Conservation Corps. And so that was a piece that is also part of shifting the narrative and is art-based. The other work that we do is we hold dialogue circles, because it's so important that we get to know each other in community. And so dialogue circles that we called Earth Circle, and meet and work with women of all ages in our community to collectively bring resources together around our projects that are important for us. And so this is what we do here. We have women that are based around the U.S. and some internationally. We will be exploring some new projects with a collective of women in Colombia. One of our sisters who's coming is doing work in Peru, and we have a sister in Senegal that's also doing some work. So we invite you to enjoy the evening. We have lots of other projects if you're interested to talk. Carol actually works on one project that we have with elders in Columbia Heights, DC. We work there, we call it the Wisdom Garden. And so it's 95% Latino, and they actually are the ones that are teaching us all the different cultural and herbal wisdom that they bring from their country. So this evening, if you haven't had a chance to tell the person next to you just how great they look tonight, you know, get to know the people that are here. That's right, take a minute, get to know who's next to you. And we hope you enjoy the evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think I should turn the mic over to Hiram LaRue, who is an outrageously groovy poet from Prince George's County, and he really helped us bring this event together. I'm so glad to see so much of your community here.
Yeah,
and hopefully we become our community this evening. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Carol. Thanks to Carol and the other members of Echo Hermanas for hosting this, and thank you especially to Artomatic and the spirit in this building. I had a chance to come on Sunday afternoon as Serenella gave a wonderful tour of some of the nature-focused exhibits here, and that was just about, what, 1% maybe of all of the exhibits. All of the, just amazing, the outpouring of talent and creativity here. And so, as Carol was saying, as we thought about this, Carol and Jesse and I kind of thought that it would be cool if we could, what we call, mash up the visual arts with some of the written arts. And so we thought, well, maybe if there would be interest, we could organize a short reading here for folks. So the way we're going to do this evening is we're going to, hi Louise, we're we're going to,
Hi, Louise. Hi, Louise.
yeah, we're going to have, I guess, is it, Carol, is it 3 featured? The one poet is not here?
No, she's here now.
Oh, okay. Oh, great. Wonderful. Wonderful. So we're going to have 4 featured readers, and they're each going to read, I don't know, 5-7 minutes, something like that, if that's okay with all the features. And then we're going to open it up and ask anyone who would like to share a piece or two to do that. And there is a sign-up sheet here with Carol, so if you haven't signed up, be sure to, if you'd like to read a piece. And so without further ado, also refreshments over here, bathrooms way back somewhere back in there, over by the elevators.
By the elevators.
And feel free to get up, wander around. You know, this is a very informal get-together, so do whatever's comfortable for you. We are live streaming. Need to get centered here. We are live streaming, and Jesse is recording this, so for posterity's sake, we'll have a record of it. So, and we'd like to do that during the open mic as well. So, without any further ado, I wonder, Jesse, would you be willing to get us started with
Oh, sure.
with your pieces, and then maybe we'll go to, is it Ada or Ada?
Ada.
Ada. And then maybe I can read, and then maybe Penny. We'll do boy, girl. Is that okay?
Sounds like
okay.
it.
Okay, sounds good. All right, thanks. Jesse Alexander. Jesse has been a force in the poetry community here in the greater DC area, has read widely. He's also a member of the same little church that I go to, and we have poetry services there, and he's helped organize some of those. So it's with a great deal of pride we feature Jesse Alexander.
I wasn't nervous before I got
Yeah.
that introduction. Now I'm freaking out. Okay, no, just let's see. I like to, the tradition I started with a long time ago was to read work of a poet that is no longer here on this side first, and then I go to my pieces. So I'm going to start with a person, Yichtov. I don't know if anyone knows him, but Yichtov used to drag me around to readings and stuff like that. So I'm going to start with his piece and then do one of my favorite of his pieces. Boom Boom. I get to go to Boom Boom. I get to kiss your cheek. I get to go to Boom Boom. I get to kiss your cheek. I get to go to Australia. I get to go Aborigine. I get to go to Boom Boom. All by myself. I get to go to Boom Boom. I get plenty of money. I get to make promises. I get to make sandwiches. I get to go to Boom Boom. I get ideas circulating in my head. I get fever. I get to kiss you. I get a reputation. I get everything simplified and amplified. I get to go to Boom Boom. I get plenty of recognition. I get inspiration. I get to go to Boom Boom. I get directions, facts in from Manila. I get accounted for. I get perspiration on my way to Boom Boom. I get automatic interpretation of my dreams. I get to go to Boom Boom. I get isolation blues. I get funky blues around the clock. I get whatever I get to go to Boom Boom. I get telegrams before I arrive. I get inclination to linger. I get encouragement from neighbors. I get to go to Boom Boom. I get odd questions. I get focused. I get to go to Boom Boom. I get to see things I suppose they have been. I get to go to Boom Boom. I get writings published. I get up close. I get turned on. I get to go to Boom Boom. I get to go to Boom Boom. Here I am. I love that piece. He reads that. He used to be a substitute teacher, and he would read that, and the kids just loved that one.
Can everyone hear Jesse?
Everybody can hear me?
In the back?
I will
we
project.
don't have a microphone, unfortunately.
Okay. Okay. All right. This is a new one, and one of mine. When it's dark. What could be more than Mama singing you through the thunderstorm, the fever, the monster, frightening in the mental closet? What be more than a chocolate cup of song hummed through full lips like a prayer, kindling your small, fluttering hope? Okay, let's try it. And a million of them. It's just so interesting that all these turned out to be about women. So,
Not a coincidence.
not a coincidence. Y'all been vibing me, huh? What if God is not dead? She's just patiently waiting, arms folded around upon her breasts for us to come home. Think about it. All right, let's see. I'll do this one. This is new. It's called Battle Rhythm. It's an acrostic. 1. Brave the Beltway and 295 cut me off, break humdrum to get to a military industrial slave you tolerate for health care. Please, sir, may I have some more? To fuel the secret poems you make by hand in the wire-bound notebook you hide from the black sheep Russian roulette eyes lying everywhere on the ceilings in artless white hallways and sockets of snitchy co-workers scanning for evidence of your betrayal, of their betrayal. You are the collateral damaged, you the unwanted, recycled soldiers, 9/11 shock doctrine refugees, blacks and browns and women not hired by the brilliant corporations gleaming with youthful exuberance, light sucked from your soul. You that service the tips of spears pointed at other unknown necks, so don't worry. You for what hope is the weapon against the strategy the same old mobsters cultivate. 2. Black bodies sway defiant in the southern breeze. Spines shimmy, then snap, attention upon syncopated command of cowbell ancestors that can only be seen through the lens of the drum, that can only be felt, not heard, conjuring dark women in white to leap and stomp without mercy, their bare feet drumming the earth in time, not merely on time. She rises through eyes into the head swinging her hips youthful, riding old mothers, spinning and singing one body. The circle dance, she tosses her woolly head defiant, her shoulders drop then shake, her upturned face gleaming in the moon. Battle rhythm. Let's see. Thank you. Interstitia. Between my jobs, between home and abroad, between hello and goodbye and hello again, my darling. Somewhere between Mars and Venus, just right between too hot and too cold, at the silver gray twilight, in the silence, oh my sweet. Between science and art, between you, me, and the wall, at the segue between born and die, here, between disasters and habits, good and bad, oh honey. Just right, not just, but enough, between too much and too little, is where to find my heart, my love. Yeah, I'm working on that one. Okay, let's see. Mayan calendar, and I'll do one more and that'll be it, really. Mayan calendar for Carol. What will happen at this end? Will we fall off the edge, apart or away, or in love all over again? And let's see, one more. Let's see, I got a million of them. No, just kidding. Okay, I'll do one for Mom. Emergency poem. Emergency poem wants to rescue you. Lay her freckled teacher hands upon your troubled brow. Unfurl your clenched little brown fists. Dry your salty tears, your running nose with apron corners. Rock you up inside her. Read you like a picture book. Know you by heart. Thank you.
That was Jesse Alexander, and next we'll have Ada Diaz. And Ada, maybe you can introduce yourself. That would be wonderful if you could. Great.
Hi everyone. So
Hello.
my name is Ada Diaz, Vilajeliu Diaz. I'm from the Canary Islands. So my poetry is influenced by the Atlantic and migration as well as colonization. In the case of the Canary Islands, is in Africa, but we were colonized to the point that we lost our language. And as the elders pass on, we just forget their traditions. So a lot of my poems are about identity. And let me see. So I also live by the Anacostia River. So the first poem is about that. It's inspired by The Ark of Bones. It's a short story by Henry Dumas. Anacostia River spirits still chase birds at midnight. Their frenetic chirping bounces on house walls, shaking foundations. Ancient bones resurface each night. Speaking of Africa in the earth, native myths drown in forget, dance back up at night. Okay, so this is about a tree in the Canary Islands. It's called Drago, and the sap of the tree is red, so it looks like blood. Okay, Drago. A bleeding tree holds the answer to what's boiling inside of me. During 1,000 years, it has witnessed the unwritten history of the Canaries. It holds 1,000 secrets in its long, pointed leaves, like spikes create a fortress. Treachery and pain, slavery and rape, love, hate. When everything else is gone, the Drago testifies to a past invisible to our eyes, erased from our lives like native tongues. Like the sweet taste of mother's milk, I yearn from the red sap from the tree that holds the female sounds of my ancestry. Its roots run deep in the sand of this island of despair. If I could listen to the blood that runs within and hear the Wanche women's voices, holding the secrets rooted in the ground that we tread with ignorant hearts. Because we can no longer hear our mother's stories about our bodies and the magic within us. I feel my blood is old and heavy, but it runs faster when I see the Teide through the window seat of an airplane that brings me home from the other side of the world where I am nothing but the traces of borrowed skin. Okay, this is another one called Passion in 4 movements. Looking at an ocean of unrecognizable waves, the smell of black sand, no fixed destination, the salt still sticking to my skin, the sand in the creaks of my body while I walk away from me. 2. My hair, green with seaweed entangled all over you, the waters flowing from my body, Atlantic salt. My lips burn like a volcano, a bilingual tongue released. 3. I close my eyes, the Atlantic breeze on my skin. You say my name, and I fly back, gather the sand at my feet, dig a hole for water to break in. 4. I whisper your name between mountains of desire, watching the island from a window, flying, I spread my love. I don't know how many I'm going to read 4, I guess. Okay, this is called I Am the Unnamed. I am the unnamed, untapped emotion attached, not knowing my roots, replaced by Spanish visions of self, language, culture, leaving traces unrecognizable, elders pass on traditions, the young don't understand, ignore. I am the unnamed, unable to remember my grandfather's gift with plants, storytelling, humor. I reveal my past with dreams far away in an ancestral land that somehow talks to me, channels my ancestors, feathers, sage, healing words, open passages, lead me on. And the last one, vision. Black sand beach, wet sounds turning to metal, silver-clad men wading towards the shore, brave dark bodies, battle-hairy men, warrior girl defies commands, mouth twisted like Aboriginal warriors that challenge fear in the face, walk over hot black sand, throw a rock at the target, listen to old sounds emerging between rocks. Men whistle my name from mountain tops.
That was Ada Diaz. Ada, there are a number of fine poets in the group here, many of whom organize readings in the area. And I'm hoping that they'll tune in to some of your work. That was just wonderful. Thank you. Before I start, I wanted to make sure, Carol, are there still a few of those handouts that were on that chair?
Yes, they're right
Okay. There's a handout here of events coming up in early 2016, well, early January through April of 2016 poetry events. If you haven't gotten one, and some of you probably already have, but if you haven't and you're interested, please be sure to pick up one of those. And in the classroom sort of mode, I also brought hard copies of a couple of the pieces that I'm going to read tonight. My friend Jean Smith said that her friend Paula was kind of interested in reading along, so if you all wouldn't mind to kind of hand those out. There may not be enough. If you wouldn't mind, maybe just to share.
I'll wait for the book to be published.
And that's fine too. That's fine too. So again, thanks to everyone for coming this evening, and especially to Echo Hermanas and Carol Henry Alexander and other members of Echo Hermanas for allowing us to visit in this space with you. My name is Hiram LaRue. I have 4 pieces like Ada, and the first piece that I've got is not one that I handed out, so you'll just have to kind of listen to it. It's called No, I Can't. Even as young as 19 years old, you'll probably want to have a full beard. A year or more later, when you're in your 20s, you'll be most likely killed at night or slip and drown through ice. Until then, good predictions are that people will look at you from behind and think of corn stalks, strongly yellow and green and slightly rustling. It's hard to tell, but they may even fall in love for a minute or two with the awful way you do things. What's important, of course, is that you're somehow here right now and are almost as timeless as fish's lips. Of the many, many, many people out there, you've got the hardest mix of promise, like a peach twig down in weeds. And you don't listen very much either. But the honest truth is, you don't really need to. In fact, the 2 mixed words that come to mind about you are only and such. And this one, I believe, thank you. I think I handed out one called Silvery Blue. This was written as a piece kind of in concert with an art exercise that Carol led at our little church. And it was written, I don't know, about 4 or 5 years ago. Silvery Blue. It may seem odd, But for some reason, when I think of the future, I think of clay pots lined up on a shelf in some back room. If they are chipped or in cobwebs, so much the better. Maybe it's their chalky clay color that makes me think ahead or out loud, or the fact that they seem so taken for granted. I don't really know why, but something about them moves me along and has me consider the consequences after all. And then there's the matter of fame, which some say is akin to whistling at night in the pitch dark, almost otherworldly. Many people believe that the true test of time is if what you do slowly turns silvery blue. In other words, acclaim is really as near as the sky. Taken all together, the world that I'm after is the kind that's treasured only after it's gone, is yes, the kind that leans against a wall reading. How is it that the more we fidget here, the quieter roots down there become? Why is it that somehow I want the full up ahead to act more and more like an overbite does whenever it sees an apple? And I believe the next one is also one that I handed out. It's called Waiting. Let me please remember just 3 things. Seeing him teach kids to swim, bending to their questions, with the trees behind me just barely touching. Or the mountain views that feel ancient, how such faraway vistas barely include me just as much as wind loves shirts. And last, but most of all, onions, and their bowls too. May I never lose such grandparents again. And this last piece is called, last piece is called If He Never Hears This. There's no pattern. Am I way out of... they're probably seeing like right here. If he never hears this. There's no pattern to what disappears. Nothing to make sure that our ideas are everlasting or repeated. In fact, we can't predict what stays or lingers or leaves. It may be that wishing wells, especially their walls, know the secret of this yearning to endure. Somehow, fireworks do too coming down. But mostly we know that everything we know is just water, and all we are is snaps. Never ask anyone anything directly. Be a swan's neck, so that you find out everything by guessing. And for balance, imagine loving someone so much that it feels like you are unscrewing the lid of a jar and then going. The boring point is this. The best friend to make is chance. Do whatever it takes to wake up tangled in the arms of maybe. Start to trust what you've done for as long as a blink. Mostly think like a windy corner. Thank you very much. And our next reader is Penny Gamble Williams. Penny Gamble Williams. Yay.
Good evening. I'm inspired.
Yeah.
Totally. Okay.
Excellent.
Well, I'm a dreamer, and I'm always thinking about the stars and the sun and the universe, and so most of my poems always end up like that. So here we go. I'm going to go on a little journey, starting with Mother Earth. This poem is called Turtle Island Sounds. Take a walk on Turtle Island. Hear the stories being told by the ancestors. Feel the rhythm and the heartbeat of Mother Earth as your feet touch the fertile ground. Dance and sing the songs of the Great Spirit. Listen to the ocean as the waves caress the shore. Watch the movement of the branches as the wind blows. Study the animals, for there's so much to learn and know. The stories are in the clouds, the sun, moon, and stars. Stay connected to all creations. When we open our hearts and acknowledge the gifts from the grandmothers and grandfathers, then we will understand that we are one with Aki, Mother Earth. Aho. Sacred fire. Make a circle, sit by the fire, where we can reconnect to ourselves. Cleanse our minds, heal our hearts, free our spirits. See the colors of the sacred fire: oranges, yellows, reds, blues. Listen to the crackling of the wood, the puffs and hisses, sparks flying. Smell the cedar, sage, and tobacco that was placed in the sacred fire with love to make smoke for our prayers to travel to the Great Spirit and the ancestors on the wings of eagles. These prayers are the healings for the sick, for Mother Earth, and peace for all humanity. Feel the heat from the sacred fire that warms us, brings us back to our roots, so we may walk this medicine road in balance with the universe. Let's always remember to take time to make a circle and sit by the sacred fire. I kind of move around a lot. I'll try to stay still.
I'll adjust.
Dreaming of a new day. I was dreaming of a new day. It happened in the daylight hours. As I sat outside, I looked at the beautiful blue sky and watched the clouds slowly drift towards the north. My mind was clear and my eyes wide open. I became mesmerized, allowed my imagination to take over. I floated high in the sky, past the clouds. Light as a feather, I felt the powerful sunlight energy penetrate my spirit, mind, and body. My consciousness was raised. I looked down and saw the liquid crystal tears of joy streaming down from the clouds. The people who felt the vibration looked up and were moved as the liquid crystal tears of joy washed away the pain of the lonely. They were no longer lost, no longer separated from self, no longer disconnected from the root of their being or from Mother Earth. I looked into the eyes of strangers and saw love, felt our hearts beating in tune, in time, and in rhythm of our Earth, the Mother, the universe. I was reminded that the drum, the tone, the harmony, the energy, the spirit is our strength because it's all about love. A new reality, a dream of a new day. Peace. Peace is like a seed pod, ready to open and release the magic, calming the hearts of those who have suffered for so long, putting smiles on the faces of those who felt that they would never smile again. Peace is like a breath of fresh air, a cool summer breeze on a hot summer day. Peace, if allowed to be, could lift nations up and out of bondage and fill the spirit with happiness. Peace, peace, everlasting peace. Thank you. Do I have time for one more?
Sure.
All praises to the Creator. As we awaken from the indigo sky of dreams, illuminated by the stars, and step into the light of dawn, rise up, be lifted in prayer as the sun rises in the east. Receive the gifts that the east brings forth every day. Let us open our hearts and accept energy for the renewal of life, the warmth of spirit, trust, beauty, vision, trust, truth, hope for all humanity. Rise up as the sun rises from the east. Be joyful. Share these gifts with the people in our lives and those we don't know. Rise up like the sun rises in the east. Let us lift our voices up to the Creator. Resist those who speak of war and destruction. Talk about peace, only peace. Walk the labyrinth of peace. Speak up, speak out, fear not. Be courageous, stand strong in the indigo light of divine love. Rise up like the sun rises in the east.
That's Penny Gamble Williams.
Yes.
So that concludes the featured part of the reading, and now the excitement begins with the open part of the reading. And maybe, Carol, could I borrow did you want to introduce, or do you want, okay. I'd be happy to introduce the open mic readers. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and what time is it here? About 7:45. So we've got about how much more time?
45 minutes.
Well, 45 minutes. I tell you what, if each of the open could read, if you have, either one long or 2 short pieces, that would be terrific. And don't forget, we have refreshments over here that are begging because we don't want to take them home with us. So please, and they're all good. I can certainly vouch for the nut clusters. They're really good. So, yeah,
About the best.
yeah, absolutely. So our first reader is a friend from the church that I go to, Davies Unitarian Universalist Church, Jean Smith. She has been, again, a poetic force in the, well, she's a force in the church generally, but she's especially one on the poetry scene. We have an annual service that we feature poets from around the area, and Jean always pulls together a wonderful program for us on that, for that service. So Jean, if you'd like to share a couple of pieces with us, that would be great. And you get to come up here and stand, not where I was standing, but like right in here. That would be great.
Well, full disclosure, I couldn't really find any poems I wanted to bring, so I write 55-word fiction. It was a book I ran across in a bookstore, and the fella came up with, you're limited to 55 words. You have to develop character, plot, and resolution. So this is my love trilogy.
Love trilogy.
Yeah, Double Trouble. Jason was patient but crushed. Jen rejected his advance after their last big date. Forlorn, Jason tried to forget her. 5 days later, he was bussing tables when a customer pulled back her dessert plate and chirped, "You can't have my goodies." How odd, he thought. That's the second time this week I've heard that. Part of that was a true story involving a Texan. One woman's trash is another woman's treasure. Bored with him, Bob's girlfriend blew him off. He drove into the desert and his car overheated. A beautiful woman picked him up in her convertible. Settling in, he wondered why she had the top down under the scorching sun. They've been together 6 months now. Bob's, no. I can't read my own writing. Jan's open to anything, and Bob's anything but boring. Did I really name her Jan somewhere along the line? I don't know. But anyway, this one is called Delirious. Tammy joined an upcoming singer-songwriter backstage. Starry-eyed, she succumbed to his sweet talk. He used her until she caught him with another naive young thing. Eventually, he phoned. "Shallow is the puddle of tears I've cried over you," she sputtered, unintentionally giving him his greatest hit and her a sweet residual for life.
What was that? Shallow is the pool of tears. Puddle of tears.
Puddle of tears.
Get it on the radio. That was Gene Smith. Next we have a duo of sorts, Pam Winters followed by Rob Winters. Pam and Rob have been very, very active in readings over in Annapolis at a couple of coffee houses there. One called Coffee and one called Zoo, Z-U Coffee in Annapolis. They're big movers and shakers in that poetry reading series. And Pam and Rob will get around as well, so you'll hear them and see them in the greater D.C. area. We're going to start with Pam and then followed by Rob. So Pamela. Pam Winters.
Where's my head?
Where's your head?
Where's your head?
There's my face. Somewhere in there. Hi, thanks for letting me read. It's really great. What a privilege to be here. And I'd like to look at this altar a lot more. It's really cool. That shade of blue. Well, I'm going to give over half my reading to, I'm going to take a cue from Jessie and read a poem by a poet who is no longer with us, except through her poetry. One of my favorite poets, her name is, I don't know what the tense would be. Her name is Deborah Diggs. She died in 2009. This is her poem, Darwin's Finches. 1. My mother always called it a nest, the multicolored mass harvested from her 6 daughters' brushes, and handed it to one of us after she had shaped it as we sat in front of the fire drying our hair. She said some birds steal anything, a strand of spider's web or horse's mane, the residue of sheep's wool in the grasses near a fold where every summer of her girlhood hundreds nested. Since then I've seen it for myself, their genius, how they transform the useless. I've seen plastics stripped and whittled into a brilliant straw, and newspapers, the dates, the years, supporting the underweavings. 2. As tonight, in our bed by the window, you brush my hair to help me sleep, and clean the brush as my mother did, offering the nest to the updraft. I'd like to think it would be lifted as far as the river and catch in some white sycamore, or drift too light to sink, into the shaded inlets, the bank moss, where small fish, frogs, and insects lay their eggs. Would this constitute an afterlife? The story goes that sailors, moored for weeks off islands they called paradise, stood in the early sunlight, cutting their hair. And the rare birds there, nameless, almost extinct, came down around them and cleaned the decks and disappeared into the trees above the sea. That's Deborah Diggs. Please look her up and read her poetry. And from the sublime to the ridiculous, this is a poem by me called Hunch. I grew up in a faith without saints, so it shouldn't surprise that I don't know what to feed them or what they are supposed to do. I've learned how to find them by their dull, smooth goodness, or their trees strung up with little epiphanies, or the smell of orange. They are not ghosts, but they hover. They seem to wait. Sometimes a muse, when dead, transmogrifies. There is a red bell in the heart that rings other such bells, and certain votaries tremble. Thus are tribes made, congregations of human islands gone evergreen. I've made it up. I no more understand this bond than I understood at 5 how a car moves. Daddy would hunch over the steering wheel. I supposed it was his posture that instigated the motion, or maybe his will to travel. Thank you.
Use my tap while I have it.
That was Pam, and this is Rob
Yes,
Winters.
I'm not Pam.
Don't confuse us.
We look a lot alike.
Yeah, that's right.
I just write enough to have something to do while I attend many, many poetry meetings. It would get pretty boring if I never wrote anything, so I write a little. I don't think we're a team either. At least we haven't teamed up on any poetry that I'm aware of.
Something to be done.
This is a poetic form that I've been playing with. I find it to be a lot of fun. They're short. It's called a triolet or a triolet. Somebody find the pronunciation for me. I don't know which. There are 8 lines, 8 beats per line. There's a mandatory rhyme scheme and there's a mandatory line repeating scheme. So there are a lot of restrictions. And then within it, you have to find space to say a little something. So they're kind of fun to write. Surrender, but do not give in. There is a difference, you know. Draw strength from all the flaws within. Surrender, but do not give in. No virtue breathes without its sin. No target struck by aiming low. Surrender, but do not give in. There is a difference, you know. And this is something that I wrote recently, and sorry, Hiram, you've heard it probably. This is called One Hand in My Pocket. Coincidence? I swear. Inspired by that line in a poem by Naomi Tier, who I saw read not that long ago. It's an old electrician's trick that my dad taught me when I was indentured in his home repair school of Depression-era shortcuts and quick fixes, the University of That'll Do Temporarily. When working with electricity to fix that faulty outlet or switch, who has the time to find the right fuse or breaker and shut off the power over and over again? That honey-do list isn't going to duct tape itself. As a shortcut to safety, keep one hand in your pocket. That way, should the juice accidentally flow, at least it will not complete a circuit between your 2 hands, right through your heart, causing breakage or cardiac arrest. Like any really good advice, this maxim is portable to other areas of your life, like social situations, for example. You can't shut them off completely. No fuse to pull, none that can be reinstalled anyway, even with a penny. Instead, keep one hand in your pocket. You can still avoid giving outright offense and meet minimum cordiality requirements with a verbal greeting and a hearty handshake. Even so, the message will be clear. You are not a hugger. No, not subject to full embrace and warm gestures. No risk of anything going to your heart. No risk of breakage or emotional arrest. Thanks.
That was Rob Winters, and I'm the... Great poem. It was a great poem. The next reader is Henry Crawford. Henry helps run a really big series and a long-standing series out in Friendship Heights called Cafe News, which is affiliated with the collective called WordWorks here in the greater DC area, a huge effort underway to publish writers from around the country. So anyway, it's real good to have Henry here.
Yeah.
Henry, come on up.
Wow, what a night! What a night! And what a great bunch of poets and great poetry. And I just wonderful. And I work in the IT business, and I have worked in a million of these office parks, and I'm so glad this one was liberated. What you guys have done up here is, this could be a project manager's office, and you guys have turned it into a work of art, so that's really beautiful. This is. I just finished a book on the American experience called The Free, and it's the interesting thing about writing that book was that when you write a book about America, before you know it, you have poems for all kinds of occasions, for all kinds of holidays, and for all kinds of memorials. And today is Veterans Day, and there's a poem in this one about a dying Civil War hero, and it's called "One Afternoon in the American Civil War." Says Private Joe to Clara Barton, "Why me and not thee in this mud and blood, losing my life under these unusual trees, pulling the sun down, and I'll be dead, and never know what happened to my boys, and did they die, and where's my musket, and how will I shoot it without my hands? And my leg is burning so much, and God, it's already lost, and the sun keeps falling into those trees. Please tell them, Miss Clara, I'm good, I swear, oh God, I'm good." But Miss Clara was already gone, and the war itself soon ended, and Lincoln was shot, and everyone moved on, and then came 100 years of Jim Crow, 2 world wars, and almost a third, and somewhere in all of this you were born, you picked up an education, and maybe you work in the city, and maybe you work in a town where the roads are wide, and sometimes showing us the way, and sometimes not, but always leading us on to that larger place where the things they did are never done. Thank you.
Wow.
That was Henry Crawford. Well, our next reader, if there's one poet in southern Prince George's County who is poetry in southern Prince George's County, it's Sister Joy.
Yeah.
Joy Alford, or better known as Sister Joy. So it's with a great deal of honor that we recognize Sister Joy and ask her to share a couple of pieces.
Thank you. See, I feel, there she is, Carol. There are 2 themes that are overriding tonight, one being nature. You and I worked on that project. The other, of course, it is Veterans Day. So I'd like to present 2 poems, if time permits, one in deference to both of those themes. The first will be The Garden. Actually, Garden Visit. Oasis of elegance, a bevy of geysers rising toward a hot June sun elevate my mood. While cooling the air, I come here for spiritual revival. The water's constant slap against concrete gives an eternal applause, all but drowning out the sounds of the raucous world beyond the walls of this exquisite garden. A chorus of chirping birds flit and play amidst waterspouts and fountains, dart from tree branch to ground and back again. Such an intricate dance and symphony. Nature makes her own harmony. Birds come here to bathe, and though well past dawn, still find a few worms and bugs. Humidity lingers in the air like invisible smoke, plastering t-shirts to sweat-drenched backs. A few passers-by step into a fountain, wet their feet and face, then continue their stroll. Two playful squirrels glance my way, instantly shifting their game of frolic and chase to keen alertness and stealth. Then, cautiously cross the path just beyond the bench where I sit. Once back in the shaded grass, they assume their antics, scampering between blossoming bud and tree, chomping newfound morsels seemingly every few seconds. Somewhere between the birds and the squirrels, I decide foraging must be fun, and leave to begin my search for lunch. I wrote that recounting a visit to the Hope Gardens in Southwest Washington, D.C. And it was one of my favorite places. It still is, and I encourage, if you haven't ever gone, please do. It's a great place for inspiration. Hope Gardens? Hope, H-A-U-P-T, Hope Gardens in Southwest. Yeah. Across from LaFont Plaza. Okay. The second piece, as I mentioned, is for Veterans Day observation, titled Notions of a Nation. Who declares that wholesome men and women should no longer regard life as sacred? Who instructs that praying hands should be lowered to take up arms? Who promises to erase the slate of nightmares of scores of souls sent to settle scores between nations? Who will heal the wounds, anoint, soothe with the healing salve of peace those souls seeking relief from irrepressible dreams of annihilated body-littered landscapes, visions that linger long after bombshells are silenced? Who will heal the wounds when time creeps inside the private, ravaged places, places once occupied by notions of love and peace, belief in the sanctity of life? Is the psyche of humankind so dispensable that nations can refuse to acknowledge the notion that long after sons, brothers, fathers, and mothers return from war, the war continues to rage within? Bullets and bombs plunder, decimating much more than the human eye can see. Even those willing warriors who have convinced themselves of the rightfulness, absent the righteousness of war, will need healing if they return. History has shown that the pendulum swings, and nations whose people are ravaged by famine, drought, disease, and death, caused not by acts of God, will not always be without power. When will the nations of the world decide to study war no more?
That was Sister Joy. And in case you hadn't noticed, the very first event on that one-pager of Hold the Dates is the 20th anniversary of Collective Voices Poetry Extravaganza at the Martin Luther King Library in DC, and Sister Joy is one of the 3 members of Collective Voices. So if you have any questions about that event, see Sister Joy. I would highly recommend that you make that effort to get to that reading. It should be a wonderful one. Our next reader is Rabia, and I'm going to have to ask Rabia to introduce Rabia. Introduce herself. And also, could I ask, would somebody be willing to make a head count of how many people we've got here? I think that would be kind of cool. And in the mathematical mode, Jesse, do you have any idea how many people are listening in?
I don't know. I have
Okay, I just wonder if we've got anyone looking at my midriff here.
So exciting.
Good.
Hello, I'm Rabia. I am also a member of Echo Hermanas. When we came and Carol inspired us to collectively make this space, and I said, oh, I want to make an altar, a sacred space, and she said, what is your theme? And I said, I don't know. When I get there, it'll tell me. And in that vein, this is what came to me to write and to put in this space, to invite people to come and leave in the basket your prayers and your hopes and your wishes, and then I'll do a ceremony at the end of the Artomatic, and then we will take those and we'll send the prayers up in bundles. Behold the Great Mother, and as my sister Penny knows, we know that now is the time that the 8th fire prophecy, which is the Hopi prophecy, that at this time the women will rise, the men will support, but to balance the energy on the planet, the women will lead the councils as they once did, because there's too much war, there's too much bloodshed, and now there has to become that balance. Behold the Great Mother, she showers her blessings upon her daughters and sons as she calls into being a rebirth and a renewal of the divine feminine energies. From the sacred womb we all come, a place of reverence, not to be despoiled nor misused. Grandmother La Luna is singing her song, calling her daughters to follow along, purifying as she sings from above. Heal, be whole, remember that love is gentle, respectful, and kind, without tears. Honor your wombs, for this much is clear. We rise from the ashes to welcome the change, calling out joyfully all of our names. Our mother, La Tierra, is under attack. Rise up, her daughters, for in you there's no lack. Use your powers of spirit, of love, to divine, to heal through prayers, through all space, through all time, bringing forth new growth of balance and glory for her daughters. This is the time, this is our story, rewritten and nurtured through your sacred wombs, birthing for all in holy bright blooms. Healthy respect for all that you are, blessed in the knowledge that time is not far, when peace, love, and balance will reign everywhere. Feel it, give thanks, it is near. Blessed are we all. That I got this morning, the goddess has arrived. Look up, pay attention. The clouds are parting, the air is thrilling. Open your eye.
That was Rabia. Thank you very much. Sally Jones, I believe, has a piece or two to share with us. Sally is from Davies Unitarian Memorial Universalist Church and is a wonderful poet as well, so it's good to have you here.
Thanks. And I'm gullible, too. How much okay. This will be short. I went back 30-some years for this here. Speak to me simply and clearly. Wrap not your tongue around the obtuse words. There is no need to prove yourself. I am impressed already. Authentic is what you are. So let the words come true as well. In direct fashion, with easy cadence, Your clear speaking cuts away the fluff of going through the motions. As you speak truly, truly, I'll respond. And I don't know a lot about astrology, but have you ever met people and then heard about some of those characteristics and went, oh yeah, there's got to be something to it. Well, Pisces. Pisces, fish, you wishy-wash your low-key energy over me. Your solemn gaze, unblinking, tricks me into thinking that you are contagious, but you are never caught. I'm the one who's hooked. The crooked yarns you spin have netted me and left me high and dry.
That was Sally Jones. And our last reader of the evening is Patrick. Patrick, come on up. Great.
Hi, everyone. Well,
You
that's
want
not
to
a
stand
microphone.
back just a little bit so they can see it. There you go. Yeah.
I'm with Artomatic. I'm really confused when I saw you guys doing this. We have a stage upstairs. Y'all are down here. I didn't know you existed. Since I'm not a poet, so I write these little rants. So I have nothing to do with poetry. I'm not literate or anything like that. So please just listen to this. I do these. Sometimes I do parodies. Sometimes I can't get words out, so I have to copy something else, and then sometimes I write something original. This is a parody since y'all were talking about veteran stuff. I'm a veteran anyway. I just thought this was written about 10 years after the war started in Iraq. And if you remember, in 2003, there were lots of Hummers. Remember Hummers?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I was trying to figure out how to say, well, where do they all go? So there's the song by Pete Seeger, "Where Have All the Flowers Gone?" So I rewrote it, "Where Have All the Hummers Gone?" So mine is, "Where have all the Hummers gone? Long time passing. Where have all the Hummers gone? Long time ago. Girls have picked them, every one. When will they learn? When will they learn? Living on a planet, spending with no shame, the girls have all found Hummers, with no one but themselves to blame. Where have all the young men gone? Long time passing. Where have all the young men gone? Gone for soldiers, everyone. To fight for the irony of a dying breed of society. A machine that defined our identity, gone to obscurity. When will they ever learn? When will they ever learn? Where have all the Hummers gone? Long time passing. Where have all the Hummers gone? Gone to the graveyard, everyone. When will they ever learn? When will they ever learn? Should we build memorials to celebrate their life? The passing of the Hummers in a world filled with strife? All the human casualty lost in the world, just to prove our way is right? Where have all the graveyards gone? Long time passing. Where have all the graveyards gone? Long time ago. Where have all the graveyards gone? Covered with Hummers, every one. Will they ever learn? Will they ever learn? Thank you.
That was Patrick. So Carol, come on up here. We need to wrap things up. So, to Jean Smith, Pam Winders, Rob Winders, Henry Crawford, Sister Joy, Rabia, Sally Jones, and Patrick. Thanks for all of you for participating in the open mic. That was terrific. Thanks very much. And thanks to Echo Hermanus and Carol and the space and Artscape generally for being here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for coming. We'd love to get your contact data so we can let you know when we're doing other events. We do a multitude of big variety of events that have to do with the environment and nature. And I wanted to let you know that one of the poets, Penny Gamble Williams, has a space with all of her visual artwork on the first floor here, space number
1-011 or room
1-011, and you'll be there after this, and you should see her work. It's very fabulous.
And Artscape is open how long into December?
Artomatic.
Oh, I'm sorry, Artomatic. I'm sorry.
Artomatic is going through the first weekend in December.
the 12th.
Oh, the 12th now?
Yes.
Wow.
Nice.
You've got time to come back.
You've
Yes,
got
have
time.
to do it
And
again.
really, a special day is coming this weekend, the 14th, which is called Meet the Artist Day. So I have a feeling that 500 artists are going to be in this building. So it should be a fun day. And it's open till midnight on the weekends and 10 during the week. So, it's a lot of time and space to be here. So I want to say I'm so happy. We had such a great time this evening. And everyone came here and just brought your energy to our space, and just appreciate that. I can feel the creative vibration. That's what it's all about. And anything else that we need to say? See you Sunday. Saturday. Oh, Sunday for our tours. Yeah.
Yes.
So please come if you would like. Everything's set up for you.
And the reading will be, it's recorded, so what would people want to do, Jesse, if they want to see
Okay,
it
the reading will be
12 times, to replay it?
The reading is on Ustream, and I published the URL for my channel, so it should be there. It says for 30 days. In the meantime, I'm going to see if I can rip it and save it for longer.
Let's do it again.
So if you want the
Please contact
address,
Okay.
check with Jesse.
Is there any opportunity, Dr. Diaz, for people who were here and enjoyed your work that they could find your work or find you or
Networking.
Well, I currently teach at Bowie State University, and I was published in an anthology of BC Latino poets, and they're gonna publish the English version of that anthology soon. So I don't know. I'm published on Beltway quarterly.
Oh, yeah.
And
Kim
I
Roberts.
don't know. That's my update right now.
That's good.
I'm on
That's good.
Twitter, Latina Africana.
Do you have cards that people want? Or you can write your email
Yes.
address. Yeah.
Hopefully, I do have it.
And you can go to the Echo Hermanas site and just send her a message on Facebook and say,
That's a good idea.
Facebook.
she's on Facebook or something.
Thank you for supporting Echo Hermanas
Yes.
and the work that we're doing in the community. And please stay and have some refreshments, and let's build community together here.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Hiram. Gotta get a picture of me and
Before
Hiram.
everybody goes,
yeah.
I'd like to say one thing.
Yeah,
First of all,
Joy.
thank you to Hiram and to Carol. But I wanted to also